evening, YouTube. My name is jamespfp. This is my channel. This is my stream. This is my idea for an ongoing series which is never finished yet. It hasn't been finished yet, but it's going to be not streamed. This camera doesn't lie, but this is the name of the stream. Pitchforks and flaming torches. And now I should be able to switch between various windows like these two, or the one we were just looking at, by using my keyboard hands-free, so I don't have to be looking at myself on screen anymore. That's the first thing. And I'm listening to sticks in the background here a little. I might have to... I've got to do some digging through some of my old photographs to see whether or not I can find a useful one for this evening.
Says, oh, these people lie about anything.
Sticks.
You know, the first time that he says something kind of nice about one of these firms, they're going to be like, oh, thank God, please, please, Mr. Trump, please let us give you a softball interview. Let us handle you with kid gloves, please. We're so tired of being scooped by the alternative media. And he'll have them at his beck and call. That's the whole thing. It's no different on DACA. He sent it to the legislature, which is legally proper, so that something can be done that's long-term. Because then, if a bill is passed, and he simply signs or vetoes it, and he apparently would sign it.
And I am keeping an eye on the chat.
If that happens, it's stable. Because it no longer can an executive just declare unilaterally, yeah, I'm getting rid of this program. He doesn't want to do that. I don't think he wants to be an imperial president because he realizes somebody else might come along years later and just undo everything he did. That's what he's doing to Obama right now. Because Obama was unwilling to work with the legislature, relatively few substantial bills were passed during his presidency, other than Obamacare, which is really, still, Trump is correct when he says this, it's a disaster. Even the Democrats are like, oh yeah, we need to reform it significantly, scrap it, get rid of it, single payer, or something. We need to patch it, throw more money at it, which won't work. Even they admit it. The fact that people like the Affordable Care Act right now is because they were so screwed over by the idea of Paul Ryan handling it. And Paul Ryan shouldn't even be in office. I don't know why the people there tolerate him at all. They shouldn't give him the time of day. But now the legislature will pass the DREAM Act. It'll be legislation. That way it gets to Trump's desk and he can just sign it. And then he can't, by the way, when it comes to his desk. If it becomes unpopular with his core fans, it doesn't matter because he's going to gain millions of new centrists and apolitical people who will support him. So he trades off one group for the other. He can't lose. It's a no-lose situation that he is constructing.
Can you hear me?
People don't even have the foresight to see it. There are people saying, oh, Trump working with the Democrats kind of on DACA or on the debt ceiling will come back to haunt him. No, it won't. Nope. It's going to come back to haunt the Democrats. It's going to come back to haunt the far left in specific. I'll tell you why. It makes it look, to their zealot fans, it makes it look like they're working with an evil fascist dictator because that's how they see Trump. They're never going to get aboard, by the way, with his proposals. He's going after the business Democrats and people in the right and left center. That's who he's going after right now. If he can get them all on board, he wins in 2020. The Republicans wipe out what's left of Democratic resistance in the midterms. And then he has carte blanche for at least 6 years in total.
His direct sunlight pictures.
He can do whatever he wants. All of a sudden, it'll be the story of the ultimate comeback, and I think this attracts Trump too. I think he has no problem with his approval where it is now. I disagree with people when they say that he cares. He wants to be the comeback kid. See, here's the thing. He's willing to screw himself a bit temporarily to gain more in the long term, because he knows that when he shoots up there, it's going to be all that much more impressive. Because he'll have a year of non-stop stories circulating about how he couldn't possibly succeed, he was doomed, everyone hated him. And then all of a sudden everybody will be on board with his agenda.
In particular, like I'm shooting with the sun to my back. That's the reason why I'm looking at it. Just, it's one side of the picture, right? Either way, it's direct sunlight. It's going to be difficult. So this is shooting from direct sunlight into shade. But I'm not shooting up sun, if you know what I mean. Now that one there, that one might be useful because there's a really blown out area that's going to show up in the levels. That. The sign behind there, that's supposed to be red. That's actually white with the glare. That's shooting up sun. So the sun is... See where the shadow is? The sun is behind these buildings over here and above. This is what I'm talking about. Looking for shots like this one. So that I can get an idea of what the dynamic range at this point of the picture is going to look like in the dark, in the background. Signs in particular. And of course there's information on these shots too. Image metadata. So here's my camera settings, because I took these shots. Exposure time, focal length, aperture. And it was using 200, it was bright sunlight. I could have used 100, it would still have worked okay. Now, if this was overcast, because it's not, the lighting would be entirely different, and I would not expect to see such a wide variety of light between stuff in shade, so to speak, and stuff not in shade. That's not up sun. I'm in the shade again. I'm shooting out into. See the difference in the character of the light? Now things in the shade are very, very dark, because there's very little light bouncing in there. So I'm looking for maybe a shot or two that would be useful for comparison purposes, but this is not what I'm looking for. I need to be up sun more, or looking up sun. Nope. Other side of the road would be better. Oh, not so bad here if I follow them. That's basically looking up sun, but I'm in shade to get the shot. This one might actually do rather well. The blown out areas are here, here, all on the bottom. This is getting me a lot of light this way too for these people, but... And that's backlit. This one might do rather well. I'll keep that one in mind. 3761. I'll write that down. Oui, le pain. And that's Fuji. So that's task number 2 for later. Where's the web one? Is it this one? I can check now. Oh, no. That one.
President. He will. You watch. You wait and see what happens. See if I'm not right. And that's what I think happens anyway. And if he fails, what then? Okay, he becomes a one-term president.
Right.
He still, by the way, managed to get some of his agenda passed already.
He did.
He tore apart the TPP. It's gone. NAFTA's being renegotiated. Sometime they'll hammer something out. It doesn't matter whether it's half-assed. You can't make it worse. It's going to be an improvement anyway. He's made a swing away from Middle East war pandering and focusing on Asia and also, to an extent, the Americas, which is good. I think he needs to muzzle people like Pence that want to go more warmonger mode. He needs to resist that. As long as he doesn't start any major conflicts, though, minus North Korea, perhaps, I suppose. Well. On that token, nobody will be calling him a war hawk. So there's nothing wrong with that. Trump's fooling everybody. He's even fooling most of his own fans. There are people in this country who thought he was actually going to deport every illegal immigrant in the country. Oh yeah, I'm going to deport this 2-year-old for coming here illegally. He's not going to do that. No. He's going to let the legislature handle it, knowing full well that the Democrats and the Never-Trumpers will largely craft it. They'll give a couple of handouts to the far right on the issue. Some minor deportations, more restrictions, or funding the wall. I'm sure that's what Trump prefers. He would love it. We've already seen that he bundles the debt deal together with other things. Why wouldn't he do the same on DACA? He'll go before. He's not talking to McConnell, so fuck him. He'll go to Rand and Amash or some people like that, and he'll say, hey, I want you to institute wall funding in exchange for DACA. That's the grand bargain all along, and if he doesn't get that, he gets something else that he wants. And he hammers away at things this way. If you have a big ask to begin with, then you can only get half of it or a quarter of it, and you still get quite a lot. That's what he wants. He doesn't have... Here's the thing. People don't get. They still don't get it. Trump is a business Democrat. That means that he's locked in step
Democrat.
with a lot of the establishment of D.C.
Darn.
But on the major issues, he does literally disagree with them on. Thinks we need a wall. Thinks that we do need economic nationalism variant.
How bad
on those issues, he won't budge, and he will get them. But he'll make the establishment feel loved and safe, and he'll manipulate them really by giving them things that he has no problem with to begin with because he agrees with them on those issues. They'll think that they're getting quite a lot out of Orange Hitler. Meanwhile, they're getting jack shit. He was going to do that anyway. But they're the ones that have to come to him because he made the big ask. You watch what happens with DACA. Watch if he doesn't screw these people. Stab him in the back. Oh, it'll be funny. And then all those people that said, oh, well, Trump is unpopular. He's just watch. Wait another year. Maybe a year and a half or so. See if I'm not right. See if the midterms come around and the Democrats get their blue wave. I don't think that's going to happen. Trump is churning full speed ahead with his pivot right now. And he's doing a good job with it. And I know what he's doing because, this is what I expected him to do all along. He was never a hardliner. The idea that someone can go from being a very gentle, generally business Democrat, maybe a little bit more laissez-faire than even the 90s business Democrats, not really into the social wedge issue sort of bullshit, and very conciliatory, generally, to people of various classes, actually seems to care even about the lower classes of fucking New York City, which nobody else did at the time if they were like Donald Trump. The idea that someone like that can become a total out there, like, further right than Ted Nugent character, do you think that's a strategy, or do you actually think that somebody who has made that much money and continues to is actually nuts? I don't think he's nuts at all. I think he knows perfectly well what he's doing. He's doing the same thing with North Korea. He's putting so much pressure on that regime, he's hoping that it'll crack. And if they don't, yeah, he probably will end up bombing them. But if they do, hey, he just won on the Korean Peninsula too. Other politicians around the world, they don't seem to I don't even think they comprehend it. It's like he's written about this. He's told people his strategy for years now. They still don't understand. They just don't. I don't understand how they can't. He's written about this in his book already. He's already told people what his strategy would be as the U.S. president. They still don't get it. Now, he's not going soft on you on immigration, but his intent was never to kick a bunch of people who came here as kids out of the country. He wants his wall. He'll probably get it funded by trading it off against DACA. By the way, which would you rather have? Because you're going to have one or the other. Would you rather deport a bunch of people and they come back in because we don't have a border wall? Or would you rather build the wall and say, oh, well, we're not dealing with the situation right now. You've got conditional residency as long as you don't commit any crimes. Which one is more important? You have to make that decision. So you either side with Trump, as I do on the issue, and you say, well, it's nice to stop the problem for future generations. As far as the problem now, we can brush it aside with residency. Or you can say, oh, no, we want everything that we want all the time. That's what Obama did. That's why he failed. So you're not understanding strategy. You're not getting it. You're locked in your mind thinking that your views are objective and that they should be taken as objective by everyone else. Okay, so be it. You think you're noble. That's not the way that other people's minds work. It's not the way that negotiating works. Trump's done this his whole life. He's going to continue to outmaneuver every one of his enemies in D.C.
Hey, Hilljack.
The Mueller investigation will never get him impeached.
How you doing?
He will never get thrown out of office for that fake as fuck investigation. It's just a deflection.
Next
they're wasting
is the emails
time.
from Google
They've already
saying, do you want a
discovered
custom
that he has
user,
no ties
like
to
URL?
Russia. That's why they're talking about Manafort or his son so much. They're hoping to nail one of them to the wall to make him look bad. They'll probably fail at that too.
I'm getting ready to sync up Rebel Z here.
Bio. And have you heard much about that over the last few days? They acted like it was the worst outrage ever. Now nobody cares. They're too busy fixating on DACA. They're confused at what Trump is doing. I still stand against him on the topic of debt, though. I think that could bite him in the ass in the future. Not because he worked with the Democrats, but because the debt will keep growing. But it's going to be kind of hard for the Democrats to make it a political issue since Obama did the same fucking thing for 8 years. Since Bush did the same thing. Since Clinton, in his last years, I believe, did the same thing. We were running a surplus for a while. Surplus in the sense of the debt was decreasing, not that we didn't have debt. Deficit was erased. There's a difference between the two. People need to realize that as well. Trump's going to continue to do his negotiator-in-chief thing, and he's going to get a lot of what he wants, and D.C. will feel calm, because they'll think they're getting most of what they want. They'll be like, oh, we're only giving Trump a couple little things here. Okay, we gave him more wall funding. We gave him a small number of deportations. We gave him one altered trade deal. What's the big deal? Those are the platforms that he ran on. That's the point. You think you're getting what you want. He's giving you stuff he doesn't have a problem with giving you in the first place because he came forward to you and said, I'm going to have everything. Like Obama. You thought he was going to be like Obama and unwilling to work with others. Now that he's working with you, you're begging him. You're sitting there like groveling, confused little children that don't understand the world. Oh man, it's so funny to watch this. It's hilarious. Even a lot of Trump fans, again, just like they were demoralized during the election. They said, yeah, I voted for Trump. I want Trump to win, but I don't think he can win. And I'm sitting there laughing my ass off. I'm doing the same thing now. That some of Trump's fans saying, oh, well, I don't know if he can make it. He might get impeached. His approval's so low. He hasn't gotten his wall yet. Yeah, give it time. Christ, he hasn't even been in there for a year. It takes a little bit longer to work with D.C. He's kicked it into hyperdrive. He's gotten more accomplished in his first year already. I hate to say it, than Obama did in 8. Because for the first 2 years that he had a mandate, he didn't do anything. Then he dragged his heels
celebration later, I don't know.
Executive action.
It all
which,
depends.
by the way, is dubiously constitutional.
Whether or not I'm going to be celebrating. There is not much to celebrate for 100, other than
let's get his cabinet
I'm glad to get it this fast, you know, 10 years later.
Any one of them at any time.
I was looking at my About page today, and it's like, join in October 2007.
Slide her to the side, right off a cliff if he wants to.
It's 10 subs a year.
Hey, I gave you something. Now give me something. I want
this
something to
celebrate. If I can multiply it by 100, it would be really good.
Member and replaced him with someone I'm not going to listen to, who's a total.
But yeah, celebration for the next several hours anyhow.
On any issue that he feels he has a difference with them on, you just watch. Yeah, Trump is good at strategy, but a lot of people have like given up on the issue. They think, oh, he's not negotiating. He has no strategy. He's just being bombarded constantly. Of course he is. He doesn't care. He knows that he's got a hardened core of support that's going to keep him afloat in the upper 30s, low 40s anyway. He's not at risk of being impeached at that level. He's just biding his time. He's waiting for the fish to bite. And you watch, they're already biting. He's got people like Pelosi. You can realize what
I'm going to cue one more Sticks video
said
after
about
this
him during the election.
Then I'll settle into doing most of the talking.
Viscerally hated him. Now they're sitting down, shaking his hand. Yeah, he'll sign DACA. Yeah, we got the debt deal. Oh, we feel... He's fooling you people. And he's also probably going to destroy the neoliberal movement in the process. The far left will gain support because they'll say, well, Trump is Hitler, and look, we were right, the neoliberals are working with him. So much for the next neoliberal big money candidate gaining any traction. He knows that the progressives are still going to be out. The neoliberals control... Here's the other part. You watch if this isn't right, too. Have you thought of this? I might be the only person who's said it. Although I don't, quote me on that. Scott Adams might have covered it. I don't go to his blog much anymore, but he might have mentioned this, in all honesty. Or Molyneux, possibly. He was early on with understanding what Trump is doing. Trump right now is setting up the neoliberals for disaster. Because as they go into the next election, because elections basically last, 4 years now, the progressives will gain steam, but they will be denied their candidate again. That's probably what ends up happening. Because Tom Perez is in control of the DNC. And he knows full well it's not a one-off that Hillary Clinton demanded the DNC be corrupt for. This happens every single time. The Democrats have been doing this for many, many decades. So that means a neoliberal will be the candidate. There are going to be twice as many progressives that refuse to vote for that neoliberal candidate because he's working with them. He's working with them.
I know this is going to go back in time
the far left
because of the
sees him
moment
as
here.
Hitler. So they're going to say, we were right, aha. Bernie was right. Elizabeth Warren's kind of right. And they're not going to get their candidate, which means that they have to choose between voting for a neoliberal who shook hands with Hitler or standing on principle and not doing that, staying home, voting third party, writing in Bernie over and over again for the rest of their natural-born life. Which do you think they're going to do? They're young and idealistic. A lot of them fled Hillary Clinton in the last election. Can you imagine if they get some vapid neoliberal there, standing shoulder to shoulder, grinning ear to ear with Trump? What do you think's going to happen to their voting share? They won't be winning the popular vote in 2020 if what I think will come true comes true. Just watch. Just observe. It's strategy. That's about all. Peace out.
Yeah, when he says peace out at the end, I think he really means this is the end of another clip. And his computer cuts it for him. That's what I think. But
all right,
I may be
everyone,
wrong
it's
about
time
that
to
one.
talk about PewDiePie because, BuzzFeed's jumping down his throat, and the co-founder apparently of, what is it, Campo Santo, which I guess is a gaming development studio. I don't know anything about him. I've never played Firewatch, so I don't know. Maybe it's a good game, maybe it's a crappy game, maybe it's somewhere in the middle. Who cares? We got to talk about this, though. I know it's fashionable to pretend to be offended at everything these days, to declare that somebody's an evil bigot because they say one thing that's, mildly out there. I'm not taken in by the moral panic, though, because I know that the moral panic is. Anyone who's aware that we're under a moral panic knows that these things that are being said are pretty normal. In private conversation, this
Sticks
sort of
is an
thing
interesting
said
guy
a
to
lot
listen
more
to. I
often
don't
than
always
these
agree with
social
him.
justice warriors would have people believe.
I find most of the time I'm wondering
slurs,
about how I
absolutely.
can or
PewDiePie
cannot disagree with him.
Did the unpardonable. He used the N-word.
And then the frustrating part is trying to message this guy to engage him is difficult because he's got so many people listening. He's got so many people engaging him. So you come down to a comment on a video that's been posted, a couple hours ago. And there's 3 million comments already. Or 600. He's got no way of staying ahead of it all. So he can't engage with certain things. Now, strangely, I started making jokes about Hindenburg Clinton a while ago. And the other day, Sticks says, hydrogen Hillary. And I'm thinking, ha 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 ha. So he must be paying some attention. To the little people. He's talking about PewDiePie and shit here.
He was streaming, I guess Firewatch was the game he was playing, which is why this the gaming studio is involved here. I could be wrong, though. It could be a different game and they're just reacting. The first thing I would say is this. He's threatening to file what amount to false DMCA complaints against PewDiePie. The problem is this. On your page for the game, you openly proclaim, hey, you can stream our footage. You can upload clips of footage of you playing the game. We don't have a problem with it. In fact, we encourage it. Well, that's going to be problematic for you if you get dragged into court. If you should file these complaints and he countersues, which he certainly has the money and the power to do, you're probably screwed. Because they'll be seen as false complaints. You yourself proclaim that it's okay to stream the footage. There is no caveat for people saying offensive things on the stream. This would get, as a U.S. firm, I believe Campo Santo is, this would get into a First Amendment
There's Sticks in a nutshell.
including the fact that PewDiePie is originally Swedish, lives in the UK. It wouldn't matter.
That drives me crazy when he does that.
It would be
Like he's
constrained
really
under US
picking
law.
words that
It would
hard.
be a U.S. battle. If he chooses to come over and to pursue that, you probably screwed yourself. You shouldn't have openly proclaimed this on Twitter. It was a bad idea. Then says, oh, well, PewDiePie's worse than a closeted racist. He makes garbage. It's funny, you never had a problem with him for years before when he was playing yours or anybody else's games. No, people kind of liked it. There's like, oh, PewDiePie's playing our game? Oh, shit, we're going to make so many sales. Make 100,000 more copies real quick. That's what they did. They loved it. But then PewDiePie got labeled as a racist by the Wall Street Journal, and things went south because all of a sudden, people assumed that that was true. It wasn't. They were taking clips of him out of context and pictures out of context. He probably should have sued them for slander. For some reason, he decided not to and instead make a joke out of it.
Yeah, it is going to rain for 3 days. It's already raining up here.
Maybe he doesn't want to censor the press, but
I imagine I'm going to see rain for the next 2
constrained
weeks.
to reporting what is true. When you're not talking about some political figure, you're not talking about someone with legal power. You're talking about someone who makes YouTube videos. Show a little bit of deference and restraint would be my guess. See, if someone did that to me, like if someone did a write-up about me, and said, oh, well, Sticks is an Nazi, I would sue. I would sue for defamation.
He'd probably sue immediately, true. Sticks be rubbing his little hands together like this.
And I have the ability to do that too. So they shouldn't take that threat lightly. And it is a threat. But they like to threaten to see what they're used to, what these groups are used to. They're corporations, which is all they are. They're used to being able to harass and bully people and face no repercussions. Under the banner of, oh, we have the free press. Well, you know what? YouTubers are part of the free press too. It's the activities of the press that we undergo. Someone's written a book, somebody's making a video, doing a blog write-up, explicitly protected under the freedom of the press. Not free speech. I'm not talking to anyone in person right now. I'm talking on video, storing it on YouTube and elsewhere. People are seeing that. It's an activity of the press. I analyze. I talk about what's happening.
I'm going to turn this.
That's a freedom of the press. It's not the freedom of speech. It overlaps.
As interesting as Styx is. First thing I'm looking at here with Rebel Z, because I haven't had a really close look at Rebel Z yet. His stream is about as big as Faith Goldie's, merely. Like, I'm only talking about the resolution of it. I think it's about the same size as Faith Goldie's. So there's a highly likely chance that there's not as many frames here as there is audio data either. But it looks, unlike Faith Goldie, to not have dropped many frames. It did drop some. There's a gap between the end of this file and here. So I want to render this one just to fix the gap to 30 frames a second before I do anything. I can have a quick look at it first. I wondered why I couldn't get the sync right to where I thought it should be. That's part of the reason. I'm also going to take a quick break, and I won't be very long. Just need to quickly reset the bladder situation. I will not be long. We got a case of cats and dogs again tonight. It's already pouring out there. Not even 5. Great. Perfect. Hello, Styx.
Labs. I am speaking, but I'm not doing it in person. Press covers everything that's not interpersonal interactions via speech themselves. Handing out billets quite physically or something like that. PewDiePie did nothing wrong. I'm not offended by what he said. Because I've seen so much worse than that.
Didn't
Just
do nothing.
Use the internet for a couple of days. Stop pretending. You can't possibly have been locked into an echo chamber long enough to be totally sensitized to everything that's slightly off the wall. Like, this streamer used the word hell. I have a problem with that. Here's another thing. These are corporations. This is just an advertising strategy for them. Back in the 50s, what did companies do? Red Scare times, moral panic. What did they do to market themselves? Oh, we're the most American company ever. Look, all of our products are slapped with a flag and a picture of Jesus Christ. We hate communism. Drive our car, drink our beer, chew our tobacco. It's fine Americana. Oh, it's lovely. It's just swell. That's how they marketed themselves. They never cared about the larger issue. They weren't actually taken in by it. It was grandstanding. During a moral panic, it was a good marketing strategy. That sort of fell out of favor later, didn't it? Oh, yeah, it bit him in the ass. Here. It's going to happen this time, too.
Okay,
Satanic panic times. Oh, we need to burn these heavy metal albums. We need to keep up appearances. Mom and Pop taking the Iron Maiden albums, they put them in a pile. Little Jimmy's never listening to this satanic trash again. Oh. We're taking away, we're taking away their Green Day posters or something. It's offensive to us. We need the government to slap warning stickers on everything. Did it work, or did it increase the sales of that kind of music for an entire generation and lead to the rise of MTV that, again, bit you in the ass? Oh, that's exactly what it did. Then pretty soon you were being satirized as boring and outdated, and that's going to happen again. Give it 5 years, maybe less. Might not even take that long with the rate at which it's churning along. This moral panic is moving faster than normal. I think it's because it's internet-related, largely. But people getting labeled undeservingly, almost always, bigots or Nazis right now. And this is the reason why a lot of people will be reluctant to come to PewDiePie's defense. They'll say, oh, but he said the N-word. That's a really touchy one. I don't know if I want to talk about this because, you know, I don't really have a problem with it, but then I might get called a Nazi or something. Doesn't make you a Nazi for saying, hey, this is a totally disproportionate response to one slur that he happened to make. Totally disproportionate. And most of the people pretending to be offended are not actually offended. They both say and hear worse on a fairly regular basis. They do. Better. That's the truth. You may not admit to it openly because you're afraid of being labeled. I'm not afraid. I don't really care what people label me. I've been labeled everything under the sun. I've had people calling me, oh, Styx is far left, Styx is far right, Styx has, racialist. Who fucking cares what other people label you? Grow a pair. Used to be a time when we valued it. When somebody simply stood on their own merits, they said, well, screw you. I'm going to have whatever beliefs I want. Now it is the post-truth era. Now we expect that elements of the tabloid media, like the Salons and HuffPost, are going to attack anybody who says something that's ultimately totally innocuous, like when they take something totally out of context. It happens all the time. Happens constantly. And it's dishonest. And it should, by the way, be illegal for a corporation to do that. Just because you say, well, we're engaged in journalism, you're still a corporation. Doesn't give you the right to defame other people. Okay, if it's like some politician or it's like strictly satire and it's labeled as satire, yeah, that's explicitly protected. Satire, absolutely.
Checking the bit rates and stuff here on Rebel Z's work.
But this is just someone who makes YouTube videos. He's getting threatened with false legal complaints. No, I stand by him. I have no problem with what he said. It doesn't offend me. I've seen far worse on a regular basis. And by the way, the whole censorship thing, it's like, if you start trying to censor that sort of stuff, it's just going to get more prevalent because it gets taboo. It gets exciting and fun. Stuff that for a while there, people just said whatever they wanted on the internet.
Overall bitrate really low.
And the hateful side actually was on the decline for a while. It grew out of fashion because it was so prevalent, no one was trying to stop it. Now that you've got an attempt to censor this sort of stuff, including this sort of side material that's ultimately, it's not PewDiePie, oh, he's the virulent racist. It's PewDiePie, oh, he said one thing on one friggin' stream. Well, then it's going to be seen as cool. By the way, do you really think it's a good idea to threaten such things? To threaten a negative reaction to someone who has 57 million fans? I don't think it's a good idea. No, I think that you should have said absolutely nothing. Nobody would have possibly said, well, PewDiePie was playing Firewatch and said something bad, therefore Firewatch is bad. Nobody would have made that connection. Come on. Get off your high horse. That's so dumb. Nobody's going to make that connection. Now they'll make a connection because you said, oh, by the way, he was playing our game and we disavow and we condemn and we're going to file complaints and we're going to do everything else under the sun. You've screwed yourself. Now you will face the wrath of his fans. By the way, you'll face the wrath of other people who are simply tired of craptivism. And that's what it is. It's people pretending to be activists, pretending to be outraged,
bitrate here.
Pretending to be offensive. Offended. Pretending to be social moralists. Most of these people, they're not. They're just pretending. It's peer pressure. They're small minds. They're very small people. They have a small mental capacity. They just follow the crowd. BuzzFeed told them somebody was a Nazi, so they just assume it's true. Because they can't think for themselves. They haven't been told to. They need to be told to think for themselves in order to start doing it, oddly enough. That's the problem we've got in society. Oh, PewDiePie said something offensive in his stream. Who cares? By the way, YouTube might back him up on this one. I say, well, and we don't, yeah, okay, we've set it to 18 plus. What more can we possibly do? You think they want to kick off or let be endangered the top user on the whole platform? A platform as large as YouTube, you realize how much ire that would generate? The ripple effects would be enormous. YouTube's not going to kick PewDiePie off for saying one off-color thing. People were trying to label him a bigot because he was painting Pepe pictures in some painting game. Oh, this is a dog whistle to the alt-right. No, it's not. It's a cartoon. It's a frog. No, you give it that meaning. Other people might give it that meaning, but that's not the meaning most people have in mind. They're saying, oh, it's a meme. Okay. All right. Yeah, who cares? Yeah. That's the state of the world as it is today. People pretending to be outraged. And the corporations love it when people pretend this, because then they can market products more easily to them. It creates a false demographic. It creates literally an artificial demographic that they can pander to. And then they try to silence anybody who points out, hey, that's dumb. Well, I'll point out that it's dumb. It's just fine to say that because it's true. The truth doesn't fear investigation. Well, you go ahead and investigate it a little bit. You honestly think that these multi-million-dollar firms actually care about morality? Well, how did they get where they are?
Got a hard time believing it.
Cutthroats half the time, stabbing other companies in the back they were competing with. That's how they got where they are. They compete with one another. They have to be cutthroats, and there's nothing wrong with that. But now I guess they've decided to go cutthroat on the creator community on social media and video hosting sites. A big bad mistake. You realize that we have a lot more fans than most of these groups do. I'm nowhere near the top. I got plenty of subscribers. I've got more leverage than a lot of companies do. PewDiePie, well, the biggest of all. I'm scratching my head to find somebody who has more leverage than PewDiePie actually has, technically speaking. He uploads something, the next day it's got millions of views. So what if he uploads a video saying, oh, boycott Firewatch or something? Oh, I'm being threatened by these people, so, you know, I took the footage down myself, I'm not playing it, and I ask you not to play it. Whoop, there go your sales. Bye. Yet you end up being the ones that suffer. How could you think it was a good idea? I just don't get it. I just don't get... Why do people have such poor ideas of what strategy is? And this goes to the right wing, too. Like when they file in with torches. Oh, you know, Hitler this, Hitler that. Do you think that's a good strategy? Okay, God bless you for being dumb. Okay. Yeah. You need to keep strategy in mind. Let's just say there are plenty of people in this world who definitely wouldn't be able to command an army. They just say, our ideals are the best, objectively speaking, go kill yourself for me. Wonderful way to win a victory. That doesn't work. And these companies do it all the time. They don't even realize 5 years from now they're going to be left in the dust. Those companies, not just alt tech, other companies showing restraint, they're going to be the ones that grow. Because the next paradigm will be an inversion of this one. Shoe will be on the other foot. All these people right now popping Xanax and haranguing about moral issues are going to be left behind. They're going to be seen as the gossiping church ladies of the temperance movement. The exploitative companies that appealed to Americana in the Red Scare. The moralists clutching their pearls and talking about how evil Ozzy Osbourne was in the 1980s. They're going to be seen the same way.
Who can't love a pearl clutcher? I don't know.
Over and over again. What more need you know?
10 minutes to
It's going to keep happening, too. There'll be more moral panics in the future. I'll stand against those ones, too, if I'm still alive when they happen. Probably for the next one I will be. We'll get some period of stability after this one collapses. We'll go back to normalcy, which means that edginess will regain its total youth appeal. We'll have another sort of, you know, jackass or heavy metal thing going on. And it'll be good, by the way. Hopefully that makes the music better. Or something under this. Maybe it makes, you know, films better. You know, remember in the Satanic Panic also, they had the slasher flicks. It was cinema, too. And they went after them. Oh, this is so bloody and so violent. We don't want this trash on our screen. Now, most of the people calling it trash never really cared. They just weren't fans of the material. They weren't offended by it. They pretended to be. Because their gossipy neighbor pretended to be offended. And so they took it up as a banner. And then their neighbors took it up as a banner. And it just sort of spread that way. Online, it spreads a lot faster, of course, because it's instant communication. It's not like small-town America 30 years ago, back when you had to be fed your reality by cable news. Now they're dying, too. Good riddance. I keep hoping that Salon and HuffPost and all these others will
Speaking of like
too.
celebrations for 100, I'm going to be honest, I
got
into the hash.
Staff and stuff. But they just...
So I'm really laid back
they're like
today.
Bill Clinton. They're like zombified.
Feeling
They
great.
just won't go away. I wish they would.
It's not that I'm lazy
That's
or
about
anything.
all. Peace out.
Thanks a lot, Sticks. Nice listening to you, buddy. I'm going to skip over to just regular YouTube here. Oh, wow. 3 watching. So says this all. Oh, I think this is counting me here, too. I should turn this down. Turn that off. That's what I mean. And take a guess where I need to put that. Oh, where's the bar? Here. Pop blender over, pop blender there. I'm going to try to remember which one switches to which. That's web do over. Where's video? That one, right. I need to do like a keyboard layover to remind myself how I've got Open Broadcaster set up on my computer, like hotkeys. But it's nice for that. It's really nice for that. You can just hit a hotkey combination and switch to whatever you want. But in this case, like if I'm not careful about having OBS open, then I'm sending a lot of extra data over and over and over. That's the only way we're going to see these pop-up windows easily, though. And it's all about the pop-up. And I also want to be able to do this. It's getting there. Hash not so much as marijuana. Marijuana laws are changing. The feds have been backing away from it for a number of years now. So the previous government, that was Harper, they started introducing grow rules which would allow people to have up to 3 plants for their own personal use. And if you have the plant, you're going to have hash too. You're not going to only have weed, right? So vaporizers are just as common here, I imagine, as they are anywhere else in North America. They're a popular alternative to any kind, and I mean e-cigarette style vaporizers, not or ones that smoke shatter. Those are more common, I would think, than much else. That's considered legal to some degree, but you're not allowed to advertise online and about smoke shop and stuff. We got 2 smoke shops in the downtown now, or like either selling glassware and accessories or like a proper dispensary. The dispensary only opened in the last year or year and a half. The cops have not been hard about marijuana for years. I've never been hassled by a cop over smoking marijuana. As many and I smoke it in public if I want to. I would think the population is divided between. If I see a person who smokes cigarettes, I can take it's a safe bet they also smoke marijuana. More or less. And we frequently mix the marijuana with tobacco up here. In the province I'm in, I mean. Like that's somewhat culturally normal, depending on who you're smoking with. But yeah, I think the last time that someone actually gave me a bit of a stink eye over smoking marijuana in public, it was a lady who had a child with her, so she was giving me a bit of a sideways look as if I was, dancing on her dead mother's grave, or denouncing people who didn't need to be denounced. I don't know. I don't know what it was I was doing that was so terribly offensive to her or her child, but if that's the worst she's got to sniff and turn her nose up to, then perhaps it's not my problem. Perhaps it's her problem. So that looked like Ford a minute ago passed right by Rebel Z here, yeah? Ford arriving on scene. That'd be easy to sync to. I gotta check that the sync is good here on this file first, though. The cool thing about the marijuana laws, as far as I can understand it, here in Canada, it seems like it's being monitored or managed by both the province and the feds, but the feds are the ones that are taking the lead on it, and the provinces are opening themselves up through the economic side of the equation a bit at a time. So there are dispensaries operating here, but they're never advertised. They're absolutely not known from well, they don't have any kind of advertising sales or market, I guess, but they do know they could market. But when they first open up, that's when the news goes down there. So that's the only time they get any publicity. It's a stunt in itself. Yeah, harvest season. Yeah, I bet they are. So that's the question, really, and that's why I mentioned the Fed's provincial thing. Like, who's going to get the benefit of the taxation? Because I'm sure they're planning to tax it to hell and gone. And if you ask me, that's the wrong idea. We shouldn't be taxing marijuana sales. We shouldn't be, or we should keep that to a minimum. If you want to tax a pack of marijuana cigarettes which has gone through a factory and has unions involved or something like that, I don't know. That maybe makes a little more sense. Or if it has, like, tobacco has a heavy tax in Canada because of its health risks. You can't tell me marijuana has the same health risks that tobacco does. Or danger. It doesn't seem to be true to me. So why would you even tax it? And I don't get too many answers to that one. I like looking at the faces of the ones that they seem like they're pro, and then they realize what I'm really saying, and they're like, okay. Yeah, no good being a leftist if you...
We're back. My phone overheated. If it goes down again, I'm probably fine, but the phone's probably overheating again.
I made a mistake rendering that one. I now notice what I've done. This and this need to be muted. Save. Animation. Run that one more time. I guess, so the grow fields being raided, is that by feds or is that by state police? Generally in Canada, the smaller the province, the higher the province relies on federal police. So our version of the FBI, the RCMP, they're mostly the police we have in Newfoundland. The RCMP, though, are, because they're like the FBI, they're nationwide and they're linked in through the grid that way. So they're the ones that end up tracking, say, the hate groups or the criminal organizations that cross provincial borders. Whatever those things mean. Because sometimes I think it's funny too, they don't see the criminal organizations I do. Or they wouldn't have to cross too many borders. Waiting here on another render. I'll pop it over. Oh man, I got it straight. So yeah, divide is the one I would need to remember. I was playing this last night. all this talk about marijuana. Doobie Brothers time. That didn't occur to me until I was plucking away at it last night. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's too easy. And then there's one tricky chord. Because of the fretting here, you got to bend it to get the right. So this would be the key of D. Like a lazy flowing river. So I got to bend the note to get it. So there's a bar chord for that first chord. Listen to the music. Oh, listen to the music. Simple as heck to play this thing. Two helicopters, 12 SUVs, 6 four-wheels hauled out, 2 16-foot trailers. Oh my God. That still only seems like a small bus, but look at all the people it takes to bust them. 2 choppers, that's 2 people, 3 people per chopper. Figure a spotter, a pilot, co-pilot. SUVs probably 3 to 4 each. 6 on four-wheelers. Christ, man. It's the Christmas bonus check time, is it? Or maybe Thanksgiving? Make sure you get all of their hours and their overtime logged. It's been interesting to watch the laws change though, like a little bit at a time, state by state. There was some states I thought never would become cool with marijuana in the first place, and so and similarly, it's been interesting to see like states like Colorado are tracking statistics about accidents on the highway and the like. There's no rise because of the marijuana being legalized. I don't think it increases the number of accidents. Taking a nice close look here now. See if I can't figure out a good time that I could sync him and Ford against right here. So Ford's got a helmet with TV behind it, yeah? Yeah, you reading from William S. Burroughs there by any chance? He's got a really good essay. Letter from a master drug addict? Sometimes, yeah, it's true. The last time I got really, really hard on hashish while playing music, I was sitting down at a campfire years and years and years ago. Really good hash. It was like I didn't want to move the rest of the night, but I had an instrument in front of me the whole time, so no dancing, but plenty of muse. On dangerous drugs. Here it is. I'm posting the link. Cannabis indica. in late or light withdrawal, relieves depression, increases appetite, in acute withdrawal, and unmitigated disaster. Talking about withdrawal from heroin or opiates. Once smoked marijuana during early withdrawal with nightmarish results. in parentheses. Cannabis is a sensitizer. If you feel bad already, it will make you feel worse. Contraindicated. A little bit farther down, though. Talks about all kinds of cocaine, everything. Cannabis indica. Effects of this drug have been frequently and luridly described. Disturbance of space-time perception, acute sensitivity to impressions, flights of ideas, laughing jags, silliness. Marijuana is a sensitizer, and the results are not always pleasant. Makes a bad situation worse. Depression becomes despair, anxiety, panic. I have already mentioned my horrible experience with marijuana during acute morphine withdrawal. I once gave marijuana to a guest who was mildly anxious about something, on bum kicks, as he put it. After smoking half a cigarette, he suddenly leapt to his feet screaming, "I got the fear!" and rushed out of the house. An especially unnerving feature of marijuana intoxication is a disturbance of the affective orientation. You do not know whether you like something or not, whether a sensation is pleasant or unpleasant. Use of marijuana varies greatly with the individual. Some smoke it constantly, some occasionally. Not a few dislike it intensely. Seems to be especially unpopular with confirmed morphine addicts, many of whom take a puritanical view of marijuana smoking. If the ill effects of marijuana have been grossly exaggerated in the U.S., our national drug is alcohol. We tend to regard the use of any other drug with special horror. Anyone given to these alien vices deserves the complete ruin of mind and body. People believe what they want to believe without regard for the facts. Marijuana is not habit-forming. I have never seen evidence of the ill effects from moderate use. Drug psychosis may result from prolonged and excessive use. And that's what he says about it. William S. Burroughs. Incredible essay. Written in 1956. Talks about getting off them too. Like getting off of the various cures, so to speak. I think that's the greatest thing ever written, that. Sometimes. You can hear him saying it.
Alright, so I got my Periscope up now too, thanks folks. And Facebook Live, I was not able to multi-stream on all four at the moment. We're trying to get a drone up in the air.
So this has been made to 30 frames a second
footage.
now.
Most of the white nationals have been scattered throughout the city.
I need to try to make sure the sync is solid through the rest of the video. I'll do this outside of Blender because I don't trust Blender to always give me a super solid sync. It's not that it won't do it, it's that the software itself doesn't play back properly, considering what it will render.
It's not letting you take off. Oh, a helicopter's nearby. We can't take off in a helicopter. It's a software. So it's what?
So there are rules, right, in Charlottesville about drones. That being said, there's a drone flying over that friggin' street right now. Just happens to be a big one.
It says it's got latest firmware. Do you know how to calibrate it?
So apparently we have another person who knows drone operating here saying when there's a helicopter in the sky, it can override the signal to the drone.
Ah, it's got an RF jammer, does it? It's got an RF jammer, does it? I wonder, could an RF jammer actually cause the helicopter itself to have trouble?
I saw another drone in the air.
The gear that they put on there thinking they'd stop all the drones actually crashed the friggin' chopper. That'd be funny too. That's nice to have in the video.
Seems like it. I don't know exactly the name of the part.
As long as it doesn't affect others, yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. The tax burden is the big concern of a lot of people. Also, that's the reason why a lot of I've talked to a few anti-abortion protesters in my time. I don't always see eye to eye with them either. But I've been thinking about this one quite a bit. Like, if you have a moral issue with paying for someone else to kill another living being, then I can see you not wanting your taxes to be directed to that. I was talking to my mother, and she was telling me about Alberta, where they're located. They have an option to direct their tax funds, which are going to the public education system, to the specific school system they choose. Even though they don't have school children anymore, my mom and my stepfather, they still opt to where their funding goes, I guess, if they want to. But there's a choice between a regular public school board and a Catholic one. And that's what determines how those tax funds are spent, right?
Wait, hold up 1 sec, my friend. Oh. So see, there's scattered groups like this walking around still after they got pushed out of the park, trying to get to their cars.
Good. Good seeing you again. Thanks for coming out.
Exactly. When you don't have it anymore. Yeah. Have fun with that.
You got the freedom to be as much of an asshole in public as you want. You got the freedom to get shouted the fuck down and get told you're being an asshole when you do.
Consequences. Consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sync looks good there.
Charlottesville, only on Periscope and Facebook at the moment. Thanks for joining me. We found a group of resistance, a large group marching.
Our street! Our street! Our street!
I also noticed this last night using Rebel Z's video. The tires on the Camry are not moving. So this is acting as a brake the whole time. They're rolling maybe a little bit, but not much. You can hear the tires screech.
We found a group of resistance,
Part of my
a large
choice
group
of
marching.
using this clip over and over. Listen.
Our street! Our street!
I don't think that wheel is turning very much, if at all. I think that's proper in park.
Shit! Holy shit! That Nazi just drove into...
Now, I gotta check the sync at the last part of the video.
The marchers coming up the street, and they were starting to chanting, hundreds of them, and then a silver car came speeding through this way, bashed into a parked car that was right here, trapping people in between them, and then reversed out of here as quickly as possible. Somebody could have died from this.
Really? Could have?
I saw somebody on the ground with a leg
That's kind of damning.
most separated. I could see meat
You think if somebody had died from this, he wouldn't been saying that?
hanging out. I saw shoes. There's countless shoes on the ground. Blood on the ground.
You could throw a shoe at a car, couldn't you?
This is what we're dealing with. Holy shit. Are you guys looking for the silver Mustang that hit everybody?
Mustang.
chaotic scene. They need to get ambulances in here now, so they're clearing the street. Clearing the street to get ambulances in.
Did y'all get the car? Its plate should be on the ground. Its bumper was coming off.
Yeah, dude. It was like a silver Mustang or something. What was it?
No, what about the officer that was running behind the car? You saw it around the car.
It was tinted.
What about the officer that was running behind the car? What did he do? He called 2
Oh, he straight into the crowd.
Hey, who's the guy that did it? They get him.
Now, you know, he backed out and got away.
Got away?
Yeah, dude. We got him on camera. We got his car on camera. We're looking for his license plate.
This ain't about time. Fuck that, brother. I understand, man.
Holy shit, folks. Please share. And folks, somebody might... Holy shit. So, somebody knew the march was coming, and before the march could get underway of resistance of Antifa and anti-racists, some racist dicks smashed into people. Holy shit. He rammed into the back of a line of cars. People were pinned in between. Out of here, completely tinted windows. You could not see who was in it. The cops just...
So that must be Ford. TV on the back. He got TV on the front too, doesn't he?
Out getting here. Where the fuck were you?
Whew. Okay. Now synchronization. How long have I been going? I'm gonna take a little break before I get into doing some sync up here. But this pleases me greatly. Now I could select these 3 since I just synced them, or I corrected the frame rate, and I'll move what I just rendered over there. To the folder where I'm storing everything like that. So now I've got a 30 FPS one next to cool. And if I refresh, it'll now show here. That's the one. Just rendered. That's let me see, right about up here. And this is the reason why I'm doing this now. I'm going to set it back to original where we had it. And this is the issue with Rebel Z's video. I'll just overdrop it here. That's the size of his frame versus the size of Ford's standard frame. So it won't be hard for me to essentially like line the 2 of these up. There was an officer behind the car, he said, running after him. You heard that on the stream too, did you? I heard that. So Ford isn't down that far yet. What? Alt hide that. I'm going to hide this one so I can see. I listen to him carefully for a minute or two as he gets on the scene, since I know that the point he passes around right up here. Okay, should be coming back up now. I should also check all my windows. They're still going to be cooperating with one another. And oh, this one knows that it's the right one. Yo, no it doesn't. Work, life as usual, yeah. Hey, John, welcome back. I'm just getting ready to take a short break, so I was going to have a smoke before I get back into here, because I think tonight the deal is going to be I'll be starting a new video project with the least amount of clips in it. But this thing's back. I wonder now, am I getting audio from the sound system? It's the one thing I'm wondering about. Let me check. Answer is yes. Okay.
All right, so I got my Periscope up now too. Thanks, folks. And Facebook Live. I was not able to multi-stream on all four at the moment. We're trying to get a drone up in the air.
I'll leave this playing here. I just
Overhead footage.
rectified this.
I saw another drone in the air.
By the parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's walk back there.
I saw. Come on. It's not letting me take off.
Oh, a helicopter's nearby. They can't take off in a helicopter. So it's a software one.
So it's what?
It's a JDL. Yeah.
I saw a drone in the air over there though.
Oh, I see.
It says it's got latest firmware. Do you know how to calibrate it?
So apparently we have another person who knows drone operating here saying when there's a helicopter in the sky, you can override the signal to the drone.
Should we go back down to where we saw the other one?
The other
Where
what?
we just were? I saw another drone in the air.
Back by
there.
that parking lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's walk back there.
All right. It seems like it. I don't know exactly the name of the park, but there is.
Well, it's mostly that's,
What's that?
it's like,
Black people? I think there's all sorts of people. Where? I saw people in all races.
Wait, hold up one sec, my friend. Oh. So see, there's scattered groups like this walking around still after they got pushed out of the park, trying to find into their cars.
Down, huh?
Nice seeing you again. Thanks for coming out.
Exactly. Well, you don't have it anymore. Have fun with that.
You got the freedom to be as much of an asshole in public as you want. You got the freedom to get shouted the fuck down and get told you're being an asshole when you do.
Consequences. Consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, should we get down there?
Which way? So this is the scene in Charlottesville right now. There's many groups, small groups of Nazis making their way back to their cars, followed in tail by small groups of counter-protesters and mostly media. But most of the counter-protesters and anti-racists were at a parking lot that we had just come from. It looks like there's a large gathering up ahead of us here. There's action all over Charlottesville right now. After the cops broke it up, it's just the whole town is filled with people marching around. Appears to be counter-protesters, anti-racist protesters, a large gathering of them marching through the street.
Alright, well, resistance finally showed up.
Yeah, I saw the new ones came out on the sides yesterday, and I'm working out ways of making sure I don't make copies of some. And I can't figure that out. I did figure out how to do that. And it appears that they're trying to stop certain countries from downloading this stuff. Certain locations.
Thanks for joining me, everybody, back live in Charlottesville. Only on Periscope and Facebook at the moment. Thanks for joining me. We found a group of resistance, a large group marching.
One thing I can't do in my video playback, I figured out how to do it in VLC yet, is the frame by frame. No way of doing it. Damned if you don't see it all. Let me hit mute here for a second. Cup of tea. Is that an IWW flag there in front? Squeak. Get in here without destroying anything, spilling tea on a power bar. That would really suck. Gosh, I've thought about that one. If I ever spill a cup of tea on that power bar, you can kiss my YouTube career goodbye. That is an International Workers of the World flag. I didn't think the Wobblies were still a going concern. Huh.
Holy shit!
Indeed. Again, I'm interested in this part here.
The cops just now getting here. Where the fuck were you?
The cop's just now getting here. Think Ford heard that?
Holy shit. He rammed into the back of a line of cars. People were pinned in between cars. People on the ground, blood on the ground. This is chaotic. And then the car reversed and sped out of here. Completely tinted windows. You could not see who was in it. The cops just now getting here.
Okay. Truth. They both get that moment. That's what I'm looking for. So, here's the dangerous thing. I'm all about Johnny living dangerously tonight. I'm going to load the one that's been giving me trouble because I know it's got a huge memory footprint. I got so many different clips loaded into this thing now. It's going to be giving my computer trouble because it's got to deal with the RAM. The RAM for everything required. I'm already kind of seeing it here on the screen that I'm looking at because these things aren't updating nearly fast enough now. Here's part of the issue that will fix many of these things. And here. One thing I can do is to make this particular Blender file a little less cluttered. Because right now I have a bunch of different scenes all loaded in here. All of which have video data associated with them. All of which tending to make this Blender file, the resources that it's consuming in memory, pretty extensive. I'm curious about what the exact numbers are, but upgrade, yeah, that would be a good idea. I've been thinking about the upgrade option. I would never be able to stream anything like a video game unless I did. Not reliably. But that's not my immediate future planning either. Video games are lovely and all. They're fun. But I don't intend to show anybody how to fly an airplane right away. I don't know how to upgrade. Well, I do kind of know how to upgrade the laptop that I'm working with. But whether or not it's worth doing. So, what I was trying to say here, since I know that I've got an instance, like a bunch of different things all instanced in memory, and chewing up cycles, I should probably go through and save a trimmed down copy that's got only the bare essentials of things that I need, like things which are marking times and specific points of view or whatever. But one thing I need to do is to line up the moment when the cops arrive, which is right on about here. To coincide between this one and Rebel Z. So Rebel Z must be moving up the hill behind Ford right about now. Unhide that audio. Save at this point before I try playing it back. Looked to be okay that time. No crashes. Okay, yeah, okay. Here's the 30 frames per second cut. I'm going to put a temporary marker right here. It's just got a frame number attached to it. Reason is I want to be able to back or advance this clip depending on need. And this one needs to be offset to make it the proper size. Now this needs to go back to 1280 by 720. I'll save it again. I'm going to hide the audio here. And frame by frame, a couple frames. Or maybe every 10 frames. I'm going to set this to overdrop. Puts it right down on top of this picture. Can I see everyone that is watching? Not at the moment. Have a look. I have to click on a thing over on the side here to get participants list. I got Alan Trotsky and Hilljack. Who was a member of the IWW? Heather was? So, Ford's camera, Ford pointing, and we're in Rebel Z's camera. Here. She was a member of the International Workers of the World, huh? There's an interesting claim. Crashing again. Back before it goes tits up. I do need to start a new Blender file to try to do a sync against, so this will be easy enough. Open. I'm going to go to my defaults for this one. This is a case in point of how to do like hand-drawn animation. I'll get to this in another point. I'm going to be starting something from absolute scratch, so let's do it. Keep this other one up. How can I figure out airborne? I'm not entirely sure about anything. I don't even trust most of the camera angles I'm seeing. I look at it and I think, video editing. I'm going to call this one master cut. Or master time, maybe a better one. Or actually... And this is going to remind me which one is doing what. So all the clips and stuff are right here. And I got an FFL one right here, which is the base cut. This has everything. Ooh, I gotta go back first. This will snap to that point is why. If I hit page down, it snaps to the other point. I go back one. Oh, sorry. That I can hover over here, Control C, and then Control V. Get an exact number to paste from one cell to the other. If I hit home in the window, it'll automatically rescale it. So this isn't the right one. I'm having a look here, make sure I've got all the right stuff selected. I had a good chance the helicopter stuff would answer it. Alt cut. Right. So here's FFL. I got 3 of 4 of them, or 3 of 5 of them already put over. And I just finished Rebel Z before we did this, so I'll probably put his in here too, just to remember. X. So I moved Rebel Z over here in this folder just to keep it safe, like simple to myself, wherever everything is. So the cut we're looking at here is the final rendered one of Ford. It's got all the edited audio, all the inserts, all the zooms. They're all done in this rendered file already. So there's no extra chugging along that needs to happen.
Needed essentially illegal zone to be in, with the consequence of the next.
This might get us back. I'm hoping. Hoping against hope. Checking that everything else is still like associated with the right tabs and everything else. Health is reporting is good. I wonder, did this start me in another new one? Keeping a quick look on this now. Did this reduce? Did this? I wonder. Did this one start me over on a new instance? Looks like it. Going to quickly update this. Yeah, totally did give me a new one. Okay. Too many tabs. Probably going to close down one of them. I have to limit myself to one web page only. One web browser. Let's see how that works. Oh. Making the blender window bigger so it can be seen easy, or fits back here again. This has to be done every bloody time. This sucks. Shucks, the big one. seems to be back. Seems to be back. Video editing. Of course, I didn't save anything the last time. I'm going to save this one now as so the name of the file is concordance 30 frames per second. That's what I intend to do with it. And under Alt Cut for everything, yeah. I sort of remember how big this number was. It was 28,831 or something. $28,800. I put an extra second on there, did I? I did. Just to make sure that there is a frame of data in the last one, and then afterward nothing. Might have been getting an audio crash here because the audio data I'm using. I might want to actually change the re-encode this stream to something that's not going to cause a crash. Because I am using like a 256 quality audio on this one, so it's probably a little bit bigger than they're expecting. Try saving, try playing back again. I got it set to AV sync too. Just read that they deny the membership. I would say they've been welcome. It would have been welcome, yeah. She was there with the IWW, eh? It's interesting. Because like I didn't think they were even a going concern. I thought they'd been pretty much busted back in the 50s. As in by the time of the 50s. I'm seriously scared to try this again because I've already watched 3 crashes occur, so let's give it a smack. Let's make this one just a bit smaller and this one a bit bigger. KZ. Too far. Also too far. So 10 frames behind. I'll put a mark there. What I did to put the mark there in this window or in this window, if you hit the M key, it will lay a mark down. And if you hit Control M, you can name the mark. But it's almost better to keep the frame number on until you're done looking at the difference in frames one way or the other. Going to hide Ford's audio for a second. going to set this to be offset so that it's at its proper scale. I'm going to set that to be overdrop so we see both at once. So I know that in 10 frames this person's going to be, is this a cop here? Or maybe not. I know that in like 10 frames or so the cop's going to be walking around the corner in frame for Ford. I should be seeing that occur. In the other image. Blender's cool for this too. I don't have to guess this number. I can count the number of times I did that then. Plus 60. Oh, wait now. Control Z. Put it in the wrong place. Start frame plus 60, so 61. There's a police officer about to arrive on Ford there. $368 minus $245. Whatever the difference is between those two, right? Plus 368 minus 245. Which looks to be pretty close to me. It's not perfect yet because I haven't synced it with the audio, but I'm going to reflect this start frame to that start frame. So now they're linked again. I could even lock this frame to stop myself moving it around. But I do want to be able to look at it, so I'll unhide it and listen to it as well. Found the audio level to be a little bit high, which is what was causing me the issues before the crash last time. 0.8 for this dude. Look how loud this one is. Heck, 0.5 be better. So now I'm going to be looking for peaks or similarities in the sound when they're very close together. Like yawn about this time. I'll listen to one and then I'll listen to the other one.
Just now getting here. Where the fuck were you?
Sometimes I think Rebel Z sounds like a young Glenn or a Keith Olbermann.
Down that way. There's more casualties down that way.
It's Ford's audio here. One, then the second one. One goes to the wounded, one stays back in front of forward. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm catching the wrong one, the wrong moment, so I still have to bump this forward. Right. $16,330 and 368. It's only 38 frames in the difference. Plus 38 because Blender is a calculator. Copy. Or it's got a calculator built in. Lucky us. You can think of it that way if you don't think of it any other way. That's starting to look like good audio here too. The general patterns and peaks are going to start lining up from time to time. Saving so I don't lose anything.
Everybody on the fucking sidewalk! Now!
Listening to the bottom one, or listening to the top one.
Got him on camera. We got his car on camera. We're looking for his license plate.
This ain't about time. Fuck that, brother. I understand, man.
Holy shit, folks. Please
Holy shit, folks. I'm going to turn off offset for a second.
share this broadcast on Twitter and Facebook.
I was right next to the car when it came by. Did you see it?
It was like a gray car with tinted out windows, came slamming into people. I've seen.
Are you okay?
I'm okay, but I saw one guy with his leg busted open. There was like meat and guts coming out of it. There's shoes all over the ground, blood all over the.
Well, that was what I was using to synchronize everything else, for goodness sake. That's great.
Shoes all over the ground, blood all over the ground.
That would have been right about here.
I've seen.
Are you okay?
I'm okay, but I saw one guy with his leg busted open. There was like.
Totally got the best sound of that, didn't he? He's the closest to it. Because there's that. Right. Ford is down the road a little tiny bit from that, so he's going to have a bit of an echo or a lag to this moment, but it should be pretty close to there. I'll put a mark here, so this is going to be a temporary one, just to mark the horn start. I'm going to hide it for a second. Alt-A to play. I didn't even use the sound to sync to this point. That actually looks to me like it's going to be synced already. Got to allow that he's down the road maybe 10, 15 meters at most. That's maybe a frame in the difference for the speed of sound. That's more than a frame right now, though. That's the second horn. That's the first horn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 to the mark. I think this is going to have to be moved forward 9 frames to sync audio, and then see if that doesn't solve them both. Whatever this value is, copy, needs to be transferred again to here, but now I'm doing it the other way around. So now any question about the synchronization of this moment should be solved. I'll save again. So yeah, there's the 2 people arriving next to Ford, 2 or 3 different police officers all at one time. They arrive at different moments in time. Though one goes straight for a person behind the truck. You see how grainy this and blocky this picture is becoming because I've made it full size. Again, if I use the actual size of the frame, if I hide Ford, this is how big the image really is. Where the fuck would you should match up? Yeah, but it might not because of the direction that the microphones are pointing, Alan. So the horn of the, what looks to be the horn of the armored vehicle arriving, that's what I'm using to sync across all the different tracks. And I'm going to have to allow for the speed of sound to some degree because the distance between Ford, say, and Rebel Z at that moment, but it's only a frame or 2. 1 frame, 10 meters for sound. I'm using 30 frames a second quite purposefully. And when I'm done, the horn is better, yeah, because they all hear it fairly clearly, no matter where they are. And like I say, as long as we can put them in space somewhere, close to where they all are. If they're all within a 5-meter radius, it's the same frame. If they're in a 10-meter radius, it might be 1 frame, it might be 2 frames, depending on what point of the radius they're at or at what part of the area. Yeah, I got it. I think I got it. I've been thinking about it. 30 frames a second makes a lot more sense for trying to do something. Try to do something that's fairly precise, and I'm trying to keep it within 1 or 2 frames, maybe 3 at the most for any given clip. So I'm going to render like a side-by-side comparison of these two to see whether or not they work. And I only need to do it like in 1 or 2 places. I am interested to see how they overlap one another at the beginning of the video too. Like right about here. Like, where is Ford at this moment in time? Well, he's right around the corner from them, yeah. I'm doing 10 by 10 here. Imagine what a really bad webcam used to look like in 2001. Ford is around the corner, must be visible in Rebel Z right about now, right? Get Rebel Z. Get rid of the offset. Zoom in a little. Back it up. And Ford is quite a bit around the corner here now. Like he's passing these glass windows and about to get to the end of here. So I don't see how these two are coinciding though. Is that Ford there? Where's his red shirt? Ford's got a real clear picture of this guy too, so I know how far behind him he is. Seems to be a discrepancy in these two clips, see? There he is from this side, here he is from that side. Two guys in white in front of him, right here. Ford is right behind these guys. Yep. Ford the blur. I can also move this, like I can reposition this image on the screen here. And I can do that independently of transformations on it too. Ooh, listen to the rain. Gotta tell you, Alan, I'm really glad to know that that horn exists on Rebel Z's video. If it wasn't for that horn, I wouldn't have got the first 3 synced. But with that horn, made it a lot easier. Quick reset, I will not be long. Silly, silly me. I've got keyboard commands and everything set up to mute the microphone. I don't know why. La 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 la. So, where are we? Oh yes, in the middle of editing. The bumping and the nicking. Hoping everything here is working okay. This is still catching the fact that the thing is live, yeah. Live chat up. I'm monitoring this other window. So yeah, thing to do here, probably render a test to see and make sure that everything, I don't have to render the whole thing to do that. I might want to render back a little bit from, for example, I'd like to see if the Vuvuzela horn, when the Challenger clears the intersection the first time, that might be a really good time to be rendering for. Oh, certainly that's right here. Yeah, I got that marked in the video, don't I? Challenger, middle intersection. M. Alt hide. Hide here for a second.
Alright, well, resistance finally showed up.
This would be really useful to me because if there's a Vuvuzela immediately in front of us, we should hear it. But if the Vuvuzela is farther up the road, then it will sound like an echo. So we'll know where the sound of the Vuvuzela came from. It was Grassy Knoll or it was Faith, right? No horn immediately. I think it's, or none that's going to be as loud as, say, Faith heard. I've also got the audio lowered quite a bit here. I'm going to raise it again, 0.8. I would have hoped to have heard it in the intersection. If I don't, well, that's it. I can't put it in there. I'm not gonna. Image offset. It's a 500 width. So if I offset it by 568, and if I put it up off the edge, say by 32, I'll make that 768. No, too much. 720. Nope, still too much. 695. And a little lower than that. 688. Still not enough. That looks pretty good. I'm going to render a copy of this with not terribly high settings. Bit rate's pretty good. Audio needs to be decent. I can go MP3 for this one, or even AC3 or AC. Everything else sort of looks decent. I need to give it a name though. Guess who has his caps lock on? Back in the render queue. Back in the render queue. Mass casualty event, yeah, they keep calm acting like that, yeah. frontline troops in an engagement. I don't know. It's kind of what I wonder about when I do watch it, John, is that they're some of them do seem to be playing it up and some of them don't. And that's, so what I'm trying to say here is the yelling for medics, that bugs me in civilian situation anyhow. If in the civilian situation, you expect to call them a paramedic for that reason. They're not the same as an army medic. They do different things. Gotta crack my window whilst waiting. I get a few minutes of like relative peace and calm. And I'm also rendering something too long here. Yeah, what next? Man down, exactly. What was the name of Shia LaBeouf's last movie? What was the name of Shia LaBeouf's last movie? Where's the Beef? What was his last movie? What was the? It wasn't Fury. Wasn't Fury. You expect panic, correct? And what do we watch? We didn't see a lot of panic. And Grassy Knoll is the kind of person to be watching for panic, if you ask me. Grassy Knoll is the best positioned person to determine is there a general panic beginning. Call 911 was yelled by the lady with pink, but she had a phone in her hand when she was doing it. The pink. The people who are yelling medic, some of the times are wearing medic identification. They've got a red cross on them and they're there yelling at the top of their lungs for medic. Like craziness. If you're yelling medic like that, please, arms deep, staunching blood. You must have a thumb in an artery if you're yelling medic like that. It's fight or flight. Yeah, I kind of agreed. If I watch, we can sit there and watch Faith Goldie all night. I don't doubt for a second she carefully chose that she did not want to be on no road. Is that the Challenger on one side of the street, and is that a Mustang on the other? The other thing to coincide here, this is going to take way too long. I should let it do, but how long? 48 minutes? No way. Cool as a cucumber, eyes going around like this, head on a swivel, playing heads up. Ain't never going to get nailed to the boards, Faith. I'm going to start this from the time Ford rounds the corner. Which is a figure here, right? So if I hover on this timeline window, S to start, and the police horn is right at the end of this, or the armored vehicle doing its thing. I'm going to make sure now that both of these clips have the same start frame. 231, 231. Looks good. E. Save it. Render it. This will be shorter. Half the length. Yes. There's one medic acting as a stage director for the other medics doing their thing. Essentially. Is she shouting about the alt-right, or is she commenting on the fact that Antifa can do something that the alt-right can't? It's the same as, like, there's a bunch of... I should probably turn my video camera off. There's a bunch of... I was just thinking about this. Ooh. Yeah, I totally lost my own train of thought there. I disappeared. She's well known, but yeah, there's a bunch. The 3 people behind her. 3 people behind her start like going after her because they see she's talking to the camera and delivering media. So media, anything. 420, yeah, of a sort. It's a little later than that. But. The first part of the stream today was so much nicer. For a taste of hash. Just a little one. Once this goes in, then it turns into music. That's the other side. I wondered why it was I didn't see him farther down on the road, like when the camera, Rebel Z's camera gets closer to the corner. Where the hell's Ford? Because he must have been here to catch the end of the crowd, right? Or Rebel Z doesn't. Tell you who Rebel Z does Z, though, is the guy carrying the Confederate flag up over his shoulder. And that guy's in drone footage, too. Like the moment that the red van pulls up. When that guy gets to the end of the street. Rebel Z, you mean? We get a really good idea where the sun is in these shots. And I'm trying to remember what I was saying about faith there still. Ooh, God. Guy in blue shirt. Is that passing by Ford now, you mean? Did he pass him in the interim? If Ford had only set up on that other corner here, if he'd set up one corner closer to 4th and Main, he would have seen right up on the market. Oh man, I spent time today in Google Maps looking this scene over. Thinking about how to do a top-down map, whether to do it in 3D or just overview. But you can clearly see in Google Maps how much of a downhill run there is there. And hello, King B. I just realized I'm looking at another username too. Welcome to the stream. This is Tuesday, as far as I'm concerned. I gotta start taking notes of like comment stuff that I could talk about while having discussions like over longer periods of time. I'm very interested in linguistics, in the use of the way that words change over time. That's the best way I could say it. Etymology, also philology. As long as nothing crashes here, I'll be a happy man. But I'm proper screencasting here now. Throwing the whole thing. Cirque du Soleil. Yeah. That's, well, there you go. Well orchestrated group, no doubt. I could do a set of videos just on the bloody drones alone, thinking about it, when it comes to the Cirque du Soleil bit. Yeah. Was listening to the audio. I did an audio cleaning on the first part of Ford's live stream, Ford's live stream yesterday, and you can hear him sucking the water clearly now, lapping and going. Like all during this sequence, there's no doubt at all that he's refilling a bottle and taking a good drink. We were talking a minute ago, I think me and Alan were, about we should be able to hear Rebel Z clearly in Ford's video. And I think the reason that we probably won't or don't hear him that clearly is because of these condenser microphones that are being used. Faith interviews a guy in a gray tank after, okay. Because I'm running the video from Ford's point, like using Ford's live stream as a base cut. So 16 minutes, as long as it's within 16 minutes of Ford, we should get that. This insert here established that you could see a white car going on the corner first, and then we'll see the Challenger next, and hopefully this doesn't block too much of the data for Challenger. Quickly gonna go into the tunnel of fun. Woo! Oh, that made me sick. Ooh. The tunnel of fun, I mean. I'll look for that. Warp drive, I'll keep an eye out for that. A little bumpy there. That's the provincial anthem I just did there. I like the music better than the words. And that's the truth. I had a really, really good look at the Google Maps of that today from Street View, simply because I was curious about the action shot of the Challenger going through the crowd, people rolling, guy getting knocked right up in the air, shoes everywhere. I was curious about how he had to get the angle to get everything in the background that he had it. And then, having done it, how is he managing to get the light like that? Because you could do that afterwards in Photoshop just to correct the light or whatever. But he's using a real long lens and zooming in so everything's flat. I agree with all that part of it. But it's downhill and the sun is in front of him, not friggin' behind him. So it's not easy to do. And that's the same thing with anyone who was hiking, anyone who had hiked up the hill and was looking back down the hill. They also got the sun in their eyes. Some Irish stuff, yeah. I did what was the one I did yesterday? I've been doing Irish stuff for a long period of time, and I mostly do it on a banjo. So I got to transpose everything to D first, or think, what can I possibly even hum or sing in D? I'm trying to think of my favorite Irish tunes. I like Dubliners, Tommy, was it Clancy Brothers, Tommy Makem. That's a sectarian violence song, that one. Thinking about doing another one. I don't know if I know the tune that well. It's Mother she was orange, me father was green, or the other way around. Father was orange, mother was green. Yeah, that sounds better. As I go along, thinking about it is all. I'll figure it out one of them days. the chord pattern is the easiest in the world on this thing. 20 minutes at most. Come on, render. Oh, not bad. Nothing in minor keys, of course. John, you were saying Irish music, yeah? Irish music? Should be able to do the run on here too. Yeah. Enough for you? It's a delayed action joke, that one. That's great for a stream with a 10-second delay on it. I have to wait for the reaction. Irish music. And in D too, key of D. This thing's tuned to D, open D. And when I say open D, it's got two notes, D, A, D. I love having to find the signs that have a fake note, like a false note halfway through. Like having to bend it out, that's cool too. I can dig that. Kind of like playing a penny whistle for that reason. Like you can fake a half a step of a note one way or the other sometimes. Nancy Drew here, I got many. I remember when I was young, I used to read the Hardy Boys quite a bit. But then at some point along the line, I remember being able to read a Hardy Boys book in an afternoon and then in maybe a couple hours. 20 chapters, always 20 chapters. Never more than 300 pages. In fact, never more than 200 and maybe pages. So it wasn't hard to get through one of those in a day. And you have big letters. What was the other one? Between your channel and Psy. Did you hear the last Irish one I did? I'm waiting for this one to finish up now. It won't be much longer. After that's checked, I can at least get an idea about how I might want to cut the two of them together. Or when to put them on. Some of the discussion on Rebel Z about the fact that helicopters are preventing drones from flying. Or the helicopter must have some kind of radio jammer. Just about 4 minutes ago, I did... how That's pretty Irish. That's the one I did. It's as Irish as it gets in some people's point of view. What other Irish tunes do I usually do Irish songs in G. That's why I'm hesitant to even try it, because my voice carries me through the Irish tune in G. What ones do I know? Okay, this is the story of the Glendalough saint. He's a man of great learning and piety, had a manner both curious and quaint, and he looked upon girls with asperity, singing a la loo la la loo la la lay, a la loo loo la la lady, well la loo loo la la lay, well la la loo la la lay. One morning he landed a trout, landed a fine great trout, sir, when Kathleen from over the way came to see what the old monk was about, sir. A la da da la da da lay, ya la da da la da da lay, ya da la da da la da da lay. I can't remember that last one. He was fond of reading a book, and the people was wont to his wishes. He was fond of casting his hook, oh, out in the young fishes. Ha da la da da la da da lay, ya la da da la da da lay, ya la da da la da da lay, ya da la da da la da da lay. Good morning, my day, says the saint, for I'm a man of great piety, and me good manners I wouldn't taint to be mixing with female society. Ha da la da da la da da lay, ya la da da la lay, ya la da da la da da lay, ya da la da da la da da lay. But Kathleen, she wouldn't give in, and when he got back to his rockery, he found her seated therein. She was polishing up his old crockery, singing la da da la da da lay, ya la da da la da da lay, ya da la da da la da da lay, ya da la da da la da da lay. He gave the poor creature a shake, must have been a garter that caught him. He cast her right into the lake, and his laddie did sink to the bottom, sing a la da da la da da lay, the trout, da la da da la da da lay, ya la la da da la da da lay, ya da la da da la da da lay. There's a good one. That's as good as it gets. That's Irish as it gets. Dubliners taught me that one. Taught me. Glendalough Saint. Namely. Ooh. Making sure everything is looking good here. Dropped a few frames here or there. It's probably a little loud, yeah? Buffering from loudness. Guaranteed. Singing too loud, too close to the mic. The Hyundai or Camry or whatever the heck it is, yeah? Well, Ford got a little bit of the white vehicle entering that lower part of the street. Ford got it. Glendalough Saint is a beautiful song. And it's got comedy in it and like a cheery ending. Gotta make sure I don't cover that up by mistake. It's very nearly done. Janet, in the bottom right corner is Rebel Z. I'm doing a synchronization test against Ford Fisher to see if I've got the right idea at putting everything in 30 frames per second. So the video in the bottom corner is Rebel Z synchronized to the like before the crash and after the crash with Ford. And I did it mostly by eye first and then double checked it in the audio. It's mostly a demonstration because we're starting everything from scratch with this build that I'm putting together here now. So this is to know that Rebel Z is in the right place in the right time. Cool. Welcome back, Janet. And it's very nearly done, so we're going to see the effect of it here now in a second. And I took a wild guess as to how to mix the audios together. It might be a little bit on the loud side one way or the other. Yep. Grassy Knoll and Faith Goldie are both waiting to be put into the mix. And then the other two clips which I've been using are already in 30 frames a second. So one of those is book depository. So I might have to double check that's probably in 27.2 or 29.97. That's a quick one. Okay. I think I picked the wrong one that time. Oh, I did. Now playing? No. This one. Nope, not that one either. Three, four. Well, I'm picking the wrong ones every time. Ah. Here we go. Keyboard shortcuts. How do they work?
Consequences. Yeah. Which way?
Are they past one another already? Can't be.
So this is the scene in Charlottesville right now. There's many groups, small groups of Nazis making their way back to their cars, followed in tail by small groups of counter-protesters and mostly media. But most of the counter-protesters and anti-racists were at a parking lot that we had just come from. Looks like there's a large gathering.
Like Rebel Z actually gets the crowd of people which are spotted in an overhead drone which shows the red van arriving. So that's why I'm interested in putting it on. I can actually lock that down now for Ford's purposes too. So the drone's position and time in the overhead view is perfectly well known.
Up ahead of us here, there's action all over Charlottesville right now. After the cops broke it up, it's just the whole town is filled with people marching around.
To those who are watching, I still gotta care about my personal sort of well-being, so I'm gonna grab some water, take a quick diversion, but I won't shut down the live stream for now. If you have any questions, now would be a good time to comment.
the next point of synchronizations in here toward the end, right?
One of them is conscious but bleeding heavily.
The march was coming up the street.
The other one seems to have woken up.
Coming up the street.
But she's really injured.
Cars. People were pinned in between cars. People on the ground, blood on the ground. Chaotic. And then the car reversed and sped out of here. Completely turned windows. You could not see who was in it. The cops just now getting here. Where the fuck were you? We got it on camera. It was like a gray Mustang, possibly all tinted out windows. Holy shit. Please, people, call 911. We need multiple ambulances. I don't know. What street is this? They already called. Okay, a lot of people have already called medics. Brother, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Absolute chaos around
Thank you for anybody home that was calling 911.
Here's the two individuals who were hit by a car. One of them is conscious but bleeding
The march
heavily.
was coming up the street.
The other one seems to have woken up.
Coming up the street.
But she's really injured.
The march was coming up the street, and they were starting to chanting, hundreds of them, and then a silver car came speeding through this way, bashed into a parked car that was right here, trapping people in between them, and then reversed out of here as quickly as possible. Somebody could have died from this. I saw somebody on the ground with a leg most separated. I could see meat hanging out. I saw shoes. There's countless shoes on the ground.
No, what about the officer that was running behind the car?
It was tinted.
What about the officer that was running behind the car?
The gray car with tinted out windows came slamming into people. I see. Are you okay? I'm okay, but I saw one guy with his leg busted open and was like.
So the horn here is what's been synchronizing everything else. It's loudest in Rebel Z's video. He's the closest to it. So everything else could be estimated by sight or by sound from him. I think anyhow. That looks like a pretty good sync. I'm curious about this time when, well, right about here.
Getting here. Where the fuck were you? We got it on camera.
I think you can hear the echo there. You can hear his own mic, Rebel Z's own mic, plus the echo from Ford. Listen.
The cops just now getting here. Where the fuck were you? We got it on camera.
Right there.
It was like a gray Mustang, possibly all tinted out windows. Holy shit.
I'm happy with that. That's pretty good. Yay. So thus begins the next edition. I'm going to lock those frames with L. Is it L? No. I can do it here. I think it's actually Shift L. Try that. So these can't be moved now. I'm locking both those into the timeline. Anything that's going to be done to them I won't want to move the position of these tracks with them up. I don't want to inadvertently do so. And it's still going to be that long. So. Going to save it. Now I'm going to open up the old one for a second and make a quick note of positions of all of my markers on the last Ford one. Although I can estimate most of that here now. I need to keep one set in close time with, or association with one another. Open recent. That's this one. I won't be playing anything here. This is just FFL here. Ooh, right there. Marker. Next marker. So I'm writing down the name of the mark, and I can actually import this into Blender across, but I don't want to spend 20 minutes selecting this, selecting that. I could easily just make note of them all. And there's only like 5 of them, 7 of them, 10 of them. A bunch. Next marker. Time is there. Challenger passes. $13.59. Next one, Challenger visible. It's got to be what, $13.93 or something. Good guess. Next one. Challenger Mark 1. Last seen. This is a matter of, or point of view. This is a question of point of view, really, if this is really the moment that this last scene. But this is one mark where I can say this when he falls off a frame. And then by the time like Ford Fisher gets across the intersection, the Challenger will barely be visible for a frame or 3. Just the corner. So we have to estimate when really the last point in time that we saw the Challenger. That's why I took a motion stabilization pass immediately after that, when he finished doing the piece to camera. So I'll go to the next mark. Here it is in the corner. Oh, wait now. I'll write down this one too. Mark 2. 2452. Next marker, next marker. No, the waterline motion stay, but that's evident in the film itself. I don't have to worry about that. Same with the pass off. Same with the MoStab. Same with the zoom in. Camry, or whatever the white car is. Keyboard next to me, I can scrub a few frames. Hopefully this doesn't cause a crash. $10.841. Next marker. This is the, it's a marking audio cue in the tape. I don't know where that is. Next. Mark 3. This is for distance over time calculation, i.e. speed. Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. And then really I did a Mark 4 when I calculated how fast it was going through the intersection from Gilmore. And then Mark 5 is when it goes between, like over the white line on the way out in reverse. So it's 5 marks for speed calculations. Because there's a known distance and time in each case. And it'll be an average set of speeds either way. But it's probably accelerating uphill as much as you can. Ooh. Center of, what is it? 11.453. Here is an estimated one. Next marker, Challenger 4th and Main. This is essentially at the same time as Mark 4, but it's a bit ahead of it. A tiny bit ahead of it, maybe 30 frames. Attack run. I'm measuring this point in time from the sound. And I'll double check this one in the other one. But the frame number, hey, 13683. So the range of frames for crossing the line is right here. Clearly on the line there and past it there. Okay, Mark 4 actually I haven't got here yet. I'll leave space in my list for it. This is going to be Mark 5. I think. 14378. Don't want to destroy any data on this one, so I'll save it once before I switch to the other file I've been working on. Now I'll put these marks in and see if they line up proper. Can enter into a text box here to get to all of the time code. Put a mark here. It's 13 M. visible. Next one. It's Mark 1. Two, 4, 5, 2 for the next one. This is Mark 2. That was Mark 2, yeah. So Camry with car visible is 10,481. Oh, I'm putting the wrong thing in there. That looks like it's one frame off. We'll see about that. Listen to the rain pouring. Mark 3, 11453. Gonna need to make that invisible for a second. Looks right. Ah, I see what the issue was with that last one. The switch to 30 frames a second is introduced, perhaps. No, that's 2 different frames. 3. I think this is where he's at the center of the intersection. M. That's where I'd guessed it. Control M. So there's 2 marks. This is Mark 3. I should have called this one. Because they're one after the other. Still 4 east to Main though. Then there's the second time. Ooh, how did I get that one wrong? Oh, I didn't get that one wrong. What am I saying? Remember where I am, what I'm doing. And it isn't on this track either. It's on this one. I'm going to stop and get something to eat before too much longer.
I'm going to start moving again.
Expected one around here, so let's just check it. Yeah, right. That peak right here, I think that's the center of the intersection, or somewhere pretty close to it. And then maybe a squeal of tires before a scream. But we hear two of those. There. And then afterward there's a scream. So that's in the right spot. Wunderbar. Excellent. Last mark, 14,378. The photo finish. I'm thinking it is about that one. Mark 5. So that's the horns at the end there. I think that's what that's marking.
Sidewalk! Everybody on the fucking sidewalk! Now! Sidewalk! Sidewalk!
So right, that's the moment that Ford hears that. And what would this be?
Down that way. There's more casualties down that way.
Cool. So this one I'm going to delete for now. I'm going to hover down here to get rid of that, just the marker. But I'm going to go up and listen to here to get the information I want. Alt-H to unhide it. Holding Shift, I can scroll down. I'm going to hide this one instead with H. Get here, zoom in, clearly identify the Like that. Or wherever it starts. Oh, holding Alt, I can scroll this thing. Nice.
There's like I saw one guy with his leg busted open. There was like meat and guts coming out of it. Like.
So using Control to scroll sideways with the scroll button, and now using Alt to get frame by frame. There's the moment for the police horn, or the APC, or whatever the heck that thing was. So this is the mark which I'll be able to line up the other clips against, and then I'll shift them one way or the other to coincide with speed of sound, depending on how close they are to Rebel Z. Makes everything add up really nicely, I think, or should make everything easy to understand. We got the mark, Control M, call this the APC horns. To get to the scroll, or this, how to say this, maximize window, I hold Control and hit up arrow, and that makes this possible. Down arrow to reverse it. I'm taking a read here of what's on the chat because I've been busy chunking away here. I got Ford's turned down a little bit too. Ford's isn't overcranked by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm going to turn this off of overdrop for a second. Well, yeah, maybe I should keep it there and just keep it hidden. Go to the beginning, save. Next up, GK, who I know takes place after the door slam, or around the time of.
For it.
Here comes Grassy Knoll. That's how much time Grassy Knoll has. That's how much time Rebel Z has. They're about the same length clip. Total frames 2,162. 2,163. Difference in the two. One frame. But that's been rectified to 30 frames a second to make that the case. It's the audio that really is the determining factor here. Turning on his waveform. His audio is actually pretty low too, comparatively. Hide that one. I'm going to hide this one for a second. Dang. Not what I wanted. Oop. Hit Alt that time, not Control. I need more Control, not more Alt. So I'm not trying to synchronize right away. I'm merely going to look for where the horns are.
I don't know. I lost track of your name and Taylor. Cops.
That can't be more than a frame or two off, huh? He doesn't sound like he's right next to or anything. Let's try the two against one another. Hope this doesn't cause all manner of grief.
Like
out of time with one another. Start frame can be like shifted here one at a time. It's probably too far.
like Are you okay? I'm okay because I saw one guy with his leg busted open and was like
So he's this side of the truck. It's quite a distance anyhow. And it's attenuated through a few people. But it still can't be that far off. There's the home key here.
Taylor, cops!
That's to say 30 meters? No way. 20.
I saw one guy with his leg busted open. There was like blood all over the ground. Why are there no ambulances?
Is there anything else I can sync against or check against, I wonder? Anything else?
Clearing the street to get ambulances in.
Did y'all get the car? It should be on the ground.
Yeah, dude. Okay. There's like a silver Mustang or something.
I turn that on again. It should be overdrop. And I'll set this one to under. Oh. Alpha over then. There we go. We're doing it.
Holy shit, folks. Please share the broadcast on Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, I got that wrong one hidden there. Hide.
Behind the car.
Oh, he was right in the crowd. Now you know he ran out and got away. Yeah. We got him on camera. We got his car on camera. We're going to license plate. Holy shit, folks. Please share the broadcast on Twitter and Facebook.
I think this might be playing a little bit slow due to the overlay. I'm just going to check this again.
Facebook.
I'm going to check the end of the animation, make sure that the animation and the frames are lining up. Otherwise this will be for nothing. Of course not, because I haven't put them there yet. Copy. V.
No, it was like a gray car that took it out. Twitter and Facebook.
Right next to the car when it came by. Did you see it?
No, it was like a gray car that took it out. Windows came slamming into people. I see.
I don't know. I lost track of your names and
His leg busted open. There was like.
Cool. There's Grassy Knoll lined up. No problem at all. Not that I can see yet anyhow. Let's see if I can double check against him and Ford. Let's see what Ford says about the horn. I'm going to turn Rebel Z down a bit more. Maybe 23% might be enough, Maz, but it might be nowhere near enough. I've got Ford at, I could start renaming these so they'll be easier to identify too, but I have Ford at 80%. And I'm going to have Grassy Knoll 80% as well. sounded like it had some close matching, and then where people are moving. Some of it sounds to me like it's Doppler and some of it doesn't. That sounds legit there. I think the queue is pretty good. It is time for me to take some form of break. Have something to eat, drink something. I'll leave the stream up for now, or I could shut it down for a little bit too. And anyone has any thoughts about that one way or the other, by all means let me know. Yeah, I'm gonna call a break for a bit. Long enough to get re-grubbed. Thanks for joining me this afternoon. My name is James PFP. This is Pitchforks, Flamin' Torches, the Banjocast.